complete and utter mayhem, but without any perceivable reason behind it. These chilling words echo through aviation history, capturing the bewildering tragedy of Air Algérie Flight 6289. Imagine boarding a routine Air Algérie Boeing 737-200 flight from the remote Saharan city of Tamanrasset, Algeria, on March 6, 2003. What should have been a simple domestic journey to Algiers via Gardia quickly spiraled into chaos. Within seconds of takeoff, the plane's left engine failed, thrusting the pilots into an emergency they were unprepared to handle. As the aircraft struggled to climb, the captain's desperate attempts to regain control led to a catastrophic stall at just 400 feet. The Boeing 737 plummeted into the unforgiving desert, engulfed in flames, claiming 102 lives and leaving only one miraculous survivor. Join us as we unravel the harrowing details of this devastating crash and uncover the critical failures that turned a routine flight into Algeria's deadliest aviation disaster. The dawn of a fateful journey on the 6th of March, 2003. The remote Saharan city of Tamanrasset buzzed with anticipation as an Air Algérie Boeing 737-200 prepared for departure. This wasn't just any flight. It was a two-leg domestic journey from Tamanrasset to Gardia and finally to Algiers. The aircraft, a sturdy workhorse delivered new to Air Algérie in December 1983, had seen nearly 2 decades of service. Despite its age, meticulous maintenance had kept it in ostensibly good condition, ready to embark on its mission under the Saharan sun. Inside the cockpit, Captain Boualem Benaouicha, a seasoned pilot with over 10,000 flight hours, awaited his co-pilot. At 48 years old, Benaouicha was a veteran of the skies, but his recent multitasking as a first officer on a Boeing 767 raised eyebrows. His first officer, Fatima Yousfi, was a trailblazer herself, Algeria's first female pilot, boasting over 5,200 hours of flight experience, including 1,300 on the 737. Yet, despite her impressive credentials, the dynamics between the two would soon unravel into tragedy. Preparations amidst delays and distractions, the day had not started smoothly. A 3-hour delay, due to a malfunctioning hydraulic pump, had disrupted the crew's routine. Benaouicha arrived late to the pre-flight briefing, bringing with him a flight attendant and engaging in idle chatter. This breach of protocol meant that Yousfi, left to handle preparations alone, had to navigate the complexities of takeoff under less than ideal circumstances. As the first officer meticulously reviewed weather conditions and performance, calculations, the temperature soared. Tamanrasset's altitude of 4,500 feet compounded the high temperatures, creating a challenging density-altitude scenario. Less dense air meant reduced lift and thrust, demanding precise calculations to ensure a safe takeoff. Despite these factors, Yousfi remained composed, unaware of the impending disaster that awaited her. Ignoring the silent signals with the hydraulic pump issue resolved, the crew began boarding passengers. Among them was a 28-year-old soldier, unaware of the fate that would soon befall him. As Yousfi conducted the final checks, she noticed discrepancies in fuel and passenger numbers, minor issues that were quickly rectified. Yet, the captain's absence during the critical briefing indicated a lack of preparedness, a harbinger of the chaos to come. At approximately 2:49 p.m., the aircraft was nearly at its maximum takeoff weight, only 800 kilograms shy of its limit. The first officer, now the pilot flying, briefed the takeoff speeds. V1 at 144 knots, rotate at 146 knots, and V2 at 150 knots. These high speeds were a direct consequence of the hot, high-altitude conditions, pushing the aircraft to its performance limits. The fateful takeoff at 3:12 p.m., the tower cleared Flight 6289 for takeoff. The engines roared to life as Yousfi pushed the throttles forward, propelling the Boeing 737 down the runway. "You have 100 knots, Benaouicha called out, marking their increasing speed. Moments later, V1 rotate, signaled a point of no return. The aircraft lifted gracefully, but within seconds, disaster struck. A series of loud bangs erupted from the left engine. Fatigue cracks in the high-pressure turbine blades had culminated in a catastrophic failure. The left engine lost power, causing the plane to yaw sharply to the left. Yusfi, trained to handle such emergencies, instinctively began corrective actions, pushing right rudder and maintaining control. However, Benowicz's sudden demand, let go, introduced chaos into the cockpit. The descent into chaos confusion reigned as Yusfi struggled to manage the failing aircraft. The captain, in a state of panic, attempted to take over controls without understanding the extent of the engine failure. His insistence that Yusfi relinquish control only deepened the turmoil. Gear up, she ordered, but the captain ignored her plea, maintaining an unsafe pitch attitude of 18 degrees instead of the recommended 12 degrees to prevent a stall. As the aircraft climbed to 390 feet, the speed plummeted, triggering the stick shaker and the ground proximity warning system. Don't sink. Despite these urgent alerts, the captain remained fixated on controlling the pitch, oblivious to the catastrophic implications of his actions. Passenger panic and pilot paralysis inside the cabin. Panic ensued as passengers sensed something was terribly wrong. The normally composed cabin crew struggled to maintain order, their training insufficient to quell the rising fear. The lone survivor, the 28-year-old soldier, had been seated in the last row, a position that would unknowingly save his life. His seatbelt unfastened meant he was ejected from the plane upon impact, landing in the desert miles away from the fiery wreckage. Back in the cockpit, the first officer, Yusfi, attempted to communicate with air traffic control. We have a small problem. Her voice was laced with fear and urgency, but the captain's erratic commands left her isolated and ineffective. The plane's speed continued to decline, and the left wing began to drop, a clear sign of an impending stall. The final moments at 3:15 p.m., with the aircraft at 335 feet, the stall warnings intensified. Yusfi desperately called out, "Don't sink," but the captain's focus remained on the pitch attitude. The stick shaker and GPWS warnings were drowned out by the captain's frantic commands, leaving Yusfi powerless to execute the necessary recovery maneuvers. With both engines compromised, the left engine completely failed and the right engine losing thrust due to inadvertent throttle adjustments, the aircraft could no longer sustain flight. At 335 feet, Flight 6289 plunged from the sky, crashing into the unforgiving Saharan desert. The impact was instantaneous and devastating, igniting the plane's full fuel load and engulfing the wreckage in flames. Aftermath and investigation emergency services responded swiftly, arriving mere minutes after the crash to confront the inferno. The intensity of the fire left little hope for survivors, but miraculously one man survived. Thrown from the plane due to his seatbelt's laxity, his survival was a solitary beacon amidst the smoldering remains of what was once a proud Air Algerie flight. The Commission of Inquiry, led by the Algerian Ministry of Transport, embarked on an exhaustive investigation. They pinpointed the left engine's failure due to fatigue cracks in the turbine blades, a direct consequence of prolonged use without adequate overhauls. However, the report fell short of addressing deeper systemic issues within Air Algerie's maintenance and training protocols. Unanswered questions and cultural implications, the investigation revealed that Captain Benowicz's unorthodox behavior and lack of adherence to standard operating procedures were critical factors in the disaster. His attempt to take control mid-emergency without a clear understanding of the situation highlighted a severe lapse in crew resource management (CRM). Moreover, his disregard for the sterile cockpit rule and his interaction with the flight attendant pointed to underlying cultural and procedural deficiencies within the airline. Speculation arose about possible gender biases, given that Yusfi was the first female pilot for Air Algerie. Her competence and adherence to protocol were overshadowed by the captain's incompetence, raising questions about gender dynamics and the support structures for female pilots in a patriarchal society. Lessons learned in industry impact. The tragic loss of Flight 6289 underscored the paramount importance of rigorous training, adherence to protocols, and effective CRM. The Commission of Inquiry's recommendations, enhanced CRM training, better handover procedures, and the establishment of an independent accident investigation agency were steps in the right direction. However, the failure to implement these recommendations meant that similar tragedies could still occur. Air Algeria's fleet, predominantly composed of aging Boeing 737-200s, highlighted the dangers of operating outdated aircraft without sufficient investment in maintenance and modernization. The subsequent crashes in 2014 and 2018 further emphasized the urgent need for systemic reforms within the Algerian aviation industry. Emotional and human impact. The human cost of Flight 6289 was immeasurable. Families lost loved ones in an instant, and the aviation community mourned the loss of competent professionals who failed to prevent the catastrophe. The lone survivor, a testament to sheer luck and the unpredictability of survival, became a symbol of hope amidst despair. For the families and friends of the victims, the unanswered questions and incomplete investigation added to their anguish. The lack of transparency and accountability from Air Algerie and the Algerian authorities left many seeking closure that would never come. A call for change and vigilance. The story of Air Algerie Flight 6289 is not just a tale of tragedy, but also a stark reminder of the critical need for unwavering commitment to aviation safety. It highlights how a single point of failure, be it technical, procedural, or human, can cascade into an unmanageable disaster. For the global aviation community, it serves as a cautionary tale of the consequences of neglecting the fundamentals of flight safety and crew training. Final reflections and moving forward as we reflect on the tragic loss of Air Algerie Flight 6289, we honor the memories of those who perished and the survivor who clung to life against all odds. This disaster calls for a collective effort to bolster aviation safety, ensuring that every pilot is prepared to handle emergencies with composure and competence. Let us remember Flight 6289 as a poignant lesson in the importance of protocol, training, and unwavering dedication to safety in the skies. Share this video with friends and family to spread awareness and ensure that the lessons learned from this disaster help prevent future tragedies. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss our in-depth analyses of aviation incidents and other compelling stories.